Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Patrice, and in this video, we will be starting a new series called Things I Want to Read. Now, in this series, I am just going to read you guys the summaries of books that are on my radar that I would like to pick up and read from my library. In this episode, we are going to talk about some historical fiction, some biographies, literary fiction, and popular fiction. So now let's get started. So we are going to start with historical fiction. The first book on my list is a book published May of 2026, and the author is Katherine Stockett. She also wrote The Help, and this new book that she has out is called The Calamity Club. And now I will read you the summary. In 1933 Oxford, Mississippi, prohibition is on the wane, and the Great Depression is tightening its grip. Poor and rich folks alike have fallen on hard times, even as the old social order remains. For women on the margins, the options are few, and the price of dignity and self-determination is unbearably high. 11-year-old Meg, one of the unadoptable big girls at the Lafayette County Orphan Asylum, fights each day to keep her spirit unbowed. Brady, unmarried and outspoken, has come to Oxford on a mission to ask her social climbing sister to help the struggling family she's left behind. And Charlie is a woman with a past, running low on luck, but driven by fire, fury, and grit. When their fates converge, they come up with an audacious plan to take back control of their lives. Together they form an unlikely sisterhood, but in a place and time where hypocrisy is rife, women's freedom is fragile, and making an enemy can have dire consequences, will the price they pay for their outrageous risk-taking be too high? The Calamity Club will make you laugh, cry, and cheer. An epic testament to resilience, friendship, and the fierce, funny women who know that calamity can be the spark of new beginnings. This is Katherine Stockett at her most confident, heartfelt, and hilarious. The triumphant return of one of the most beloved storytellers of our time. So this made it to my radar because I watched The Help. I did not read the book. I watched the movie. And I enjoyed it. So I guess I want to read this because of that connection. But when I heard about this story, like of women like joining together and, doing something radical to change their lives, that's kind of what drew me in. So it's like the familiarity of the author and along with the story made me want to get this. The next book I'm going to tell you about also came out May of 2026, and it is another historical fiction titled A Harlem Wedding by Tiffany L. Warren. And here is the summary. From the unexpected diva author Tiffany Warren, a dishy and dramatic novel of the Harlem Renaissance and its most famous Black debutante, Yolanda Du Bois, daughter of W.E.B. Du Bois, whose spectacular wedding to poet Countee Cullen was the society event of the year, even though the bride and groom were not so secretly in love with other people. A century ago, Harlem's glittering social scene had a single Yolanda Du Bois, the only child of NAACP icon W.E.B. Du Bois. Yolanda was bold, vivacious, and beloved of every gossip columnist. A true daddy's girl, Yolanda followed her father's advice on from where she went to college, Fisk, Papa's alma mater, to which sorority she joined, Delta Sigma Theta. But in matters of the heart, Yolanda and her father did not agree. Dr. Du Bois himself curated a string of handsome suitors from the talented 10th for her, but Yolanda's true love was jazz musician Jimmy Lunsford, son of a working-class family from far-off Denver, Colorado. Their romance was an open secret and more than a little scandalous. Despite it all, Yolanda wound up marrying her father's famed poet, County Cullen. Their lavish uptown wedding was the hottest social ticket of 1928. With 3,000 attendees, 16 bridesmaids, and Langston Hughes as a groomsman, it was truly a sight to behold. But immediately after the wedding, Yolanda's carefully constructed fairy tale begins to crumble. Torn between the expectations of her father and society and her heart's true desire, Yolanda is forced to decide whether she must leave Harlem to create a more authentic life on her own terms. A Harlem Wedding is a heady read about love, notoriety, Black excellence, deception, and the très chic lifestyles of the Black elite. From speakeasies of Harlem and the green fields of Fisk University, all the way to Le Grand Duc in Paris. So this sounds like it's going to be really good. You guys know that I love a book about real life people, especially people like Black people that we don't know much about. Like, I know we've heard of her father, but I did not know about his daughter, Yolanda. And I have a connection to County Cullen. Not that I'm related or anything, but in middle school, I had to memorize a poem by County Cullen, and I had to recite it in front of the whole class. So when I saw that she married him, I'm like, wait, hold it, wait a minute. Like, okay, there's a little connection there. So I'm excited to read this. I can't wait. Hopefully, like, I'm going to get my little Googling fingers out and start looking for information right now about them. I don't know. Maybe I'll wait until I get the book, because then that'll make it like even better, like to connect to the story and everything. So I'll wait until then. But yeah, this is definitely on my list of things to pick up as soon as the library gets it. I may even request this one. The next historical fiction I like to read is titled Edmonia by Brianne Baker, and this was published April of 2026, and I will read the summary. For readers of Vanessa Miller, Sheila Williams, Victoria Christopher Murray, and Tracy Chevalier, the story of an unconventional woman who overcame adversity to create enduring tributes in stone to her race and times. The life of pioneering Black neoclassical sculptor Edmonia Lewis, from the Civil War era Midwest to Boston's abolitionist circles to Rome's expatriate community, is resurrected in this stunning debut biographical novel. I plan to be a sculptor to memorialize forever the great men and women of my race and those who have fought for our cause. At the age of 8, orphan precocious Wildfire seems fated to a life of toil, selling her handmade crafts to Niagara Falls tourists alongside her Ojibwe aunts. But Wildfire's older half-brother Samuel has been making other plans for his gifted sibling. Soon she is set on a new trajectory, and with it comes her birth name, Edmonia, and a revelation about her true origins. Ensconced at the home of a trusted benefactor while Samuel makes his fortune in California, Edmonia flourishes, despite her abhorrence for etiquette lessons. Privately nurturing artistic ambitions, she advances through the abolitionist prep school and lands at Oberlin College. But at Oberlin, Edmonia is accused of poisoning nearly fatally 2 friends with tainted wine. What ensues is a headline-making trial, a vicious attack by a white mob, and a bold journey that will lead Edmonia from a crucial introduction in Boston to a vibrant community of celebrated expatriate women artists in Rome, and encounters with such distinguished figures as President Ulysses S. Grant, Pope Pius IX, and Frederick Douglass. Still, Edmonia's success is plagued by stinging critiques, potent racism, and haunting self-doubt. She must decide, too, whether to abandon her romantic entanglements or devote herself to bringing to life her visions of beauty and justice, and hopefully forge her place in a rapidly changing world. So this is definitely a figure that I have never heard of. So this one sounds like out of the three, like it's going to be the most interesting. I am not like a big art buff or fan, so I don't know if that will hinder my reading or make it like even more interesting, but I definitely want to know more about the life of this woman. And again, a real life person that I can go down a rabbit hole. So these three alone are going to keep me busy for quite a while. The next category that we're going to tackle in things I would like to read are biographies. The first biography is titled Happiness Included, Jan, Brady, and Beyond, and this is by Eve Plumb. And I believe this came out April 2026 as well. And this is the woman who played Jan Brady on the Brady Bunch. And I love a good memoir. I love reading stories about people's lives, especially like figures, that we know, but we may not know like what went on behind the scenes. And I like just getting like a deeper dive into people's lives. One of the best memoirs that I have read in all my years of reading was Viola Davis's book. And that was good. It was a tough read, but it was really, really good. And so I am continuing my love of being nosy, and it is going to continue with Jan Brady. So here's the summary. It's finally time for Jan, Jan, Jan. As Jan Brady, America's most memorable middle child on the beloved TV sitcom The Brady Bunch, Eve Plumb has been an enduring icon of American pop culture for over 60 years. Now, in an engaging, intimate memoir, she shares the behind-the-scenes story of her colorful and impressively versatile Hollywood career and revelatory recollections of her off-camera life along the way, complete with many photos from her private archives. Recognized worldwide as Jan Brady, the wonderfully misunderstood middle sister on television's The Brady Bunch, actress Eve Plumb has embraced the association that seemed destined at age 10 when she was cast on the TV show. The iconic 1970s TV series has been in perpetual reruns for 5 decades and is well known by 3 generations of children and adults. Her engaging memoir reveals that her stint on the Brady Bunch was only the beginning of her TV career, a young lady with the confidence and spunk that her on-screen character often humorously lacked. Eve Plumb's 6 decades as a TV and stage actress comes across like a veritable history of the golden age of TV, chock full of Brady Bunch nostalgia and the skinny on countless classic TV shows with recollections straight from the set. This is Eve Plumb as you've never seen her. This sounds like it's really going to be interesting, and I can't wait to see all of the pictures, and I hope we get like some good behind the story, behind the tea. No, wait, I am getting it all confused. Behind the scenes tea. There we go. The next biography I'd like to read is titled Backtalker, a memoir by Kimberle Williams Crenshaw, and this was published in May of 2026. One of the most influential public intellectuals in the world and the architect of the two biggest ideas to reshape the American conversation about fairness offers the intimate story of how her life gave birth to these ideas. It is not very often that someone comes along and permanently reshapes the way Americans think about two of the most important issues of the day, race and gender. But that is what Kimberle Crenshaw did when she articulated two concepts that would forever change national and global debates about intersectionality and critical race theory. Backtalker is the powerful and intimate story of how a little girl from Canton, Ohio, came up with a new way to look at the world. Crenshaw's memoir traces the way her lived experience made her see things others didn't as the daughter of a strong-minded teacher and a path-breaking public servant, and as the sister of a protective yet bullying older brother. She starts to talk back, and that back-talking has continued throughout her life. It happens when she is denied a role in the kindergarten school play, when she is escorted to the back door of a private club, when Anita Hill is exiled for testifying against Clarence Thomas, when O.J. Simpson goes on trial, when Obama launches My Brother's Keeper, a movement focused on boys of color only, when the movement against police violence overlooks Black women. Crenshaw is there for all of it. In the vein of Ta-Nehisi Coates and Bryan Stevenson, Crenshaw evokes each time and place like a gifted novelist with extreme honesty and specificity, making her book a series of awe-inspiring deep revelations. As a result of her work, Crenshaw has become a force to be reckoned with across America, at schools, in the workplace, at dinner tables, and of course, in our public square. I am very excited to read this. So I have heard of Kimberle Williams Crenshaw, but this will be like very interesting to see like how her experiences helped her to come up with critical race theory and intersectionality. So I am definitely looking forward to getting my hands on this one. It sounds like it's going to be really, really good. Now we're going to move on to literary fiction, and the first one up is Yesteryear by Caro Claire Burke, and this was published April of 2026. A traditional American woman, a trad-wife influencer, suddenly awakens in the brutal reality of 1855, where she must unravel whether this living nightmare is an elaborate hoax, a twisted reality show, or something far more sinister in this sensational debut novel. My name was Natalie Heller Mills, and I was perfect at being alive. Natalie lives a traditional lifestyle. Her charming farmhouse is rustic, her husband a handsome cowboy, her 6 children, each more delightful than the last. So what if there are nannies and producers behind the scenes, her kitchen hiding industrial-grade fridges and ovens, her husband the heir to a political dynasty? What Natalie's followers, all 8 million of them, don't know won't hurt them. And the angry women, the privileged, Ivy League coastal elite haters who call her an anti-feminist iconoclast, they're sick with jealousy. Because Natalie isn't simply living the good life, she's living the ideal, and just so happens to be building an empire from it. Until one morning she wakes up in a life that isn't hers. Her home, her husband, her children, they're all familiar, but something's off. Her kitchen is warmed by a sputtering fire rather than electricity. Her children are dirty and strange. And her soft-handed husband is suddenly a competent farmer. Just yesterday, Natalie was curating photos of homemade jam for her Instagram. And now she's expected to haul firewood and hand-wash clothes until her fingers bleed. Has she become the unwitting star of a ruthless reality show? Could it really be time travel? Is she being tested by God, by Satan? When Natalie suffers a brutal injury in the woods, she realizes two things. This is not her beautiful life, and she must escape by any means necessary. A gripping, electrifying novel that is as darkly funny as it is frightening. Yesteryear is a gimlet-eyed look at tradition, fame, faith, and the grand performance of womanhood. So this sounds like it's going to be like a little horror mixed with like a little bit of magical realism fantasy. Like, I am surprised this is in the literary fiction category instead of like magical realism. But this sounds interesting, especially in this time of like influencers and trad wives and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm interested to see like how she's going to get out of this. So the next book I would like to read in literary fiction is titled The Witch, and I hope I'm saying her name right. I'm probably not saying it correctly, but I'm going to try. It was written by Marie Ndiaye, and her last name is spelled Ndiaye. Now, this is an older book. It was first published in 1996, but it looks like it was translated to English, so I'm not sure if the English is like a newer version. And it looks like this author is a French author. But this sound like the premise sounded good. So I don't care if it's old. I still want to read it. Let me read you the summary. In a small French town, a mediocre witch trapped in a cruel marriage cries watery tears of blood as she passes on her gifts to her twin daughters, who soon must make a choice: stay close to the nest and the mother who nourished them, or soar away from the dead-end claustrophobia their selfish father has imposed. Lucy comes from a long line of witches with powers passed down from mother to daughter. Many of them have hidden or repressed their gifts to appease disgusted or fearful men. But against the wishes of her controlling husband, Lucy initiates her twins into their family's peculiar womanhood when they reach the age of 12. In a few short months, Maud and Lise are crying rich crimson tears, their powers quickly becoming more potent than their mother's, opening them to liberation and euphoria beyond what Lucy and her foremothers ever considered. Equal parts dreamlike and disquieting, the witch tells a tale as old as time with a dark twist. Without looking back, children fly the nest, laying bare the tenuous threads of family that have long threatened to snap. With simmering tension and increasing panic, Ndiaye's Ndiaye's latest novel in English captures the terror and precarity of motherhood and marriage, and the uncertainty of slowly realizing that your progeny are more dangerous to the world and to your heart and freer than you could have ever dreamed. Now, like I said, this is old, and hopefully like nothing is lost in translation, but it's also pretty short. It's only 144 pages, so even if I don't like it, I should at least be able to get through it like pretty quickly. So I don't know, this is questionable, but I'm gonna try it anyway. I don't know what happened to the end of my last video, but I had to come back and record the last part of this video. So here we go with the continuation. So the next literary fiction that I would like to read is titled The Left and the Lucky by Willy Vlautin. And this came out in April of 2026. And now I will read the summary. Eddie Wilkins is a workaholic house painter in his early 40s. His wife has left him to her regret, and his main employee, Houston, is a loafer and scoundrel who barely shows up for work. Unassuming and self-reliant, Eddie is a thoughtful man who rarely gets angry, despite life's frequent provocations, but he is ruled by a guilt that he has carried for nearly 20 years. Next door, a woman and her two sons move in with her frail and aging mother. The youngest boy, Russell, 8 years old, is quiet and small for his age and lives in constant terror of his increasingly lost and troubled 15-year-old brother, Curtis. As their mother struggles to keep the family together and the grandmother's health begins to falter, they find themselves unable to protect Russell and themselves from Curtis's cruelty, which threatens to explode in frenetic violence. Though neither knows it, Russell and Eddie will become each other's saving grace. While Russell's home life disintegrates, he begins waiting in Eddie's backyard for him to get off work. Eddie offers the boy small acts of kindness. He feeds him, gives him jobs to do, listens to his dreams of escape, and offers Russell a glimpse into a world of hope and humor. A world of misfit painters, a derelict muscle car, an old dog, and the camaraderie and companionship of Eddie and his crew. In return, Russell gives Eddie a reason to carry on and helps him lay to rest the guilt that has plagued him for half his life. Together, this makeshift father and son begin to build a better life, daring to trade the bleakness and cynicism around them for hope and friendship. From a writer revered for his thoughtful and compassionate portrayal of realistic American life, The Left and the Lucky is a heartbreakingly honest examination of how circumstance shapes our lives and how the luck of finding someone who needs us can transcend bitter loneliness and prevent us from giving up on dreaming of a better life. So this sounds like this is going to be like one of those feel good stories. And I think we could all use a little bit of that right now, especially because we are dealing with a loneliness pandemic or epidemic. And even though we have like so much technology and other things to kind of, make it like you can make friends worldwide, we are still lacking in like personal connection. So I think this is going to be a story like about that, about being lonely and how you can make found family. Like you can make friends and they can become like your family like over time and stuff. And I think it's very nice that this is going to be like a story about a younger and an older person, coming together and making a connection, because I think we need like more of that, like intergenerational friendships. I have friends that are older. I always say that I'm kind of like an old person in a young person's body. Like I was raised by older people. So like some of my interests in things run like to the older generation, like music and books and TV and everything. So like I like having older friends, but I think that's important, that you have friends from all walks of life and all ages of life as well. So this is going to be a good one. I can't wait to read this. The last category in things that I want to read is popular fiction. The book that caught my eye in this category is titled Leave Your Mess at Home by Tolani Akinola, and this was published in April of 2026. And now I will read the summary. Sola Lange, eldest daughter, estranged from the family, is secretly back home in Chicago for the first time in a decade. She's a newly single and recently disgraced influencer trying to quietly put her life back together again. The other three Longe siblings aren't doing much better. Angela is in love with her best friend, who just got engaged to someone else. Karen, a college junior and the baby of the family, is grappling with her sexuality and self-image. And Ola, the golden child with a baby of his own on the way, is questioning his marriage and how to raise a black son in America. Sola's unexpected return sets them on a crash course towards each other, and when the four siblings find themselves together again at their Nigerian immigrant parents' Thanksgiving table, a decade's worth of secrets and a lifetime of resentments explode to the fore. In the wreckage of their fateful reunion, each Longe is forced to reckon with the past, take stock of what really matters, and find a way back to each other. Big-hearted, hilarious, and poignant, Leave Your Mess at Home is an insightful debut about forgiveness, unconditional love, and becoming who you want to be. Asking the question, what do we owe to our families and what do we owe to ourselves? So this sounds like it will be good because it will be full of drama and mess and like a family story. What makes this interesting is that it's a story of like African immigrants. So that is like a different spin on it because usually it's like African American. So I'm interested to see like what their like issues would be like if it's like the same thing because like it's different like when you are coming from an immigrant background. So I cannot wait to read this, and I actually saw this at my library, so I'm going to pick this one up ASAP. So that is it for all of the things that I would like to read. Like I said in the beginning, I thought this would be a nice, interesting segment. Um, Besides doing like a regular library haul, just to keep like new books on everyone's radar, especially because I find like the things that I read, people don't really talk about. Um, I know most of the things that I get are like popular books, but sometimes I just don't see like a lot of cozy mystery or a lot of like fantasy and stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys like what's on my radar. Let me know in the comments if you thought any of these books were interesting or things that you are looking for as well. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys the next time. Bye bye.